Hello, and welcome to Khyber Shards, a 5th edition actual play show set in the Eberron campaign world. We made it 100 episodes, guys.
They said we could.
That's cool.
They're super excited.
Yeah.
Apparently. Wow. All right.
I think it's really awesome.
I
Sorry, I
thought
was-
it was apparently.
I was on Twitch when you started. I'm back.
The commitment and professionalism is obviously what has stuck us through to triple digits in the episodes. That's obviously how we've gotten this far. Well,
Hey, I've committed to this fake home set for 2 years. People think I live here.
it is a deep commitment to the bit.
I mean, Critical
I've got a
Role
fake
just does
baby
so well
noise
with having
generator
married
over here.
couples on there, so we told Ari and Casey to pretend that you're married. And then you all
Right.
just took it way too far. You
Right.
have a kid now, like, just commitment to the bit. Appreciate it.
Oh, man. Anyway, we opened the topics up for questions from all of the campaign, and all of the things that I would ask, I think, are pretty much asked by our wonderful viewers. And so we're going to dive into those. But before we do, I want to remind you, speaking of things that reach 100, we are still pushing our subscribers to get to 100 on the YouTube channel, at which point we will give away this wonderful dice bag created by Lazy Fox Creates. Link to their shop is in the description down below. And as soon as we get to 100 subscriptions, we will have a drawing for that wonderful, wonderful item. But in the meantime...
Very cool.
Indeed. Emily kicks things off with an easy softball question
Don't
here.
kick things, Emily.
To everyone, which episodes have respectively been your favorite and least favorite to record so far?
I've got...
We
Hey, this
expect
is-
episode numbers.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Like,
This is...
Laura could do
this...
it.
Yeah, put it in the comments for us, Laura. This is maybe recency bias, and I kind of said this in the KSA, but like the last couple we recorded, in fact, the couple coming up that haven't aired yet, I've really enjoyed. I felt like they were kind of the best of D&D. Lots of character moments, plenty of like combat choices, but not combat choices that were like I swing and hit for this number of hit points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was pretty much at every stage was like, well, wait, what can I possibly do to make this better? And it was almost never just like do rote damage. It was always like there's so many moving pieces. The geography of it was really cool. So preview of what's coming, but I enjoyed that.
cool.
I think one of my favorite was the episode, I guess it's 2, where Shade transports to Harazi and asks for help to fix Ezri. Just because genuinely having no idea what was going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
just I as a player do not always remember my resources, and so I personally was just excited to have remembered that in that moment. But then just the chaos that ensued was fun.
Yeah.
My favorite to record, I mean, as RA said, the ones coming up, especially the last one that we recorded, was a lot of stressful fun to record, but it was genuinely a lot of fun to record. But to do stuff that you all have actually seen, I would say probably my favorite was the the celebration with the drow and then going and finding Ezri and all that, because it was just we had been going so hard for so long, and it felt like that was an episode where our characters were able to like enjoy themselves, because we have a lot of talky episodes, but rarely are our characters enjoying themselves in those talky episodes. This was like a
Right.
like so yeah. And I guess I can circle us back on least favorite. I don't know if we but I sent a pretty long text to Philip not too long ago, just about like, okay, I think I've got it, because there was a stretch of time where I kind of was rudderless with Ari, and so Ari was just kind of along for the ride for a lot of stuff, and like post Forgotten Prince, I kind of lost the plot, and so there were stretches of episodes there where like I wasn't not enjoying my time at the table, but I felt like I wasn't contributing as much as I could be, because I didn't know who my character was anymore. And now I feel like I have a strong sense of that. So yeah.
On a personal level, I think my least favorite so far to record has just been the one coming back from having a baby. Just the how much of a shift in sort of like mental energy and how my attention is divided, and not knowing what that looks like. I think that we've gotten into a better and better groove figuring out how to record with him. Mine is current. Yeah. But I personally just had some stress going into what was that going to look like and how were we going to manage that.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that the episode that aired this week, watching it with the watch party, there was a full half of that episode that I didn't recall
Sure.
from playing, just because like because the party was split. When we were split, we took turns dealing with our boy, and it like, oh, that's what was going on. Okay. Remember that.
Ezri and Shade can just never be together in a party space.
Yeah, well, it's at least convenient to have it like that.
Right.
I think my least favorite were early on, when Ezri was most at odds with the rest of the party. It was kind of what Eric was saying. There was a lot of like having to work hard to keep Ezri around at that time, and just kind of just sort of accepting that like, okay, well, he doesn't really agree with all this, but we'll try to find reasons for him to stay. Then that's I don't find that's not fun. But
Yeah.
you do I think, at least for me, almost all of my characters in every campaign have gone through that moment, and so it's just something to deal with.
Yeah. I would say my favorite, again, probably recency
you get to
bias
answer?
playing a role here. I do, yes.
Oh.
She did say to everyone, so just saying. I also have really enjoyed the recent arc. It helps that it's one of my favorite published adventures, but before that, I would say I really thought the initial Feywild arc was really fun. The going into the Feywild through stories, the look on everyone's face when I stole Ari. That was a lot of fun. The story flowed really well. It was also, I think, the set of episodes where I had perfectly estimated what we would accomplish in each episode. Like the very rare occasion where what I thought would happen in a session happened in a session. And that, like, it's not like I hate it when things go off the rails, because it's usually cool. It's just, oh, I did it right this time. I got it. I knew what they were going to do, and I created a thing that engaged them exactly the ways that I thought it would. And that was a lot of fun. And it was a good mix of, combat and interesting combats. That was, again, a pretty well-designed adventure, but also of interesting character choices in getting River and that kind of stuff. So I liked I liked that set as far as recording. I thought that was a lot of fun. A least favorite to record. I don't think this surprises any of them. It's the set of episodes right after that street fight with the fire, where we're just out in the woods whinging at each other like that. For one thing, I had absolutely nothing to do. Like I sat here and watched the entirety of a couple of episodes.
Philip, you sit in the
and-
corner and witness what you wrought.
Well, and that's the other thing. It's like, oh, okay, I thought I designed this cool encounter that was going to create some neat character moments, and actually it's created the possibility that my adventuring party will just quit. Awesome. Way to go, Philip.
Aw.
You're great. So that was probably my least favorite set of episodes to record. Yes. Also
And
to edit, because I have to rewatch them while editing them. And it was like,
What about
oh,
you, Colin?
Cool. Let's do it again.
How you feeling about things there, Pog?
Yeah. Yes, we don't actually have Colin right now. We may conceivably have Colin at some point in this episode, just depending on his work schedule. But I'm betting not, unfortunately. So we'll
That joke would land better if he
Colin's-
popped up soon.
Yeah, we'll get these questions to Colin in the next one. Then Emily asks specifically to the players, if your character, as of episode 100, could go back to their episode 1 self and give them one piece of advice, what advice would they give?
Ezri needs to know that he should stick to his guns. He's right. He is right about all of these things that everyone else that he thought he was right about, and he is right. And things are going to go real bad because he gives in. Yeah.
Help that little girl. Ugh.
Well. No,
Should
no,
have
I think
kidnapped her right away.
I think that's probably. I mean, this may be too specific, but yeah, Mrs. Donnabella's mom is she's okay. Just when you meet this woman, chill out a little bit. Things will probably go a little bit better.
When in Stormreach, stick with Pog. Because when he's either with Shade or Ezri alone, wild things happen. So, just stick with Pog.
Good, wonderful things. With
Or
Shade, not with Ezra.
Have more fun,
know.
when you're with Pog.
Listen.
Stick with Pog and roll with it, man. Casey.
Went back and forth on this question. I don't know that Elder Shade would give younger Shade advice. I think she would tell her that it'll be okay. Like, because she doesn't want to tell her to trust more people. That's not the lesson to learn. Like,
Right? Gosh, no. I mean,
Ezri could. Sorry.
if Elder Shade gets to give advice to younger Shade, it means that Elder Shade is still alive. So obviously things are okay.
right.
Ezri could probably do with. Could be told to learn a little bit more thoroughly about the groups and factions in and around Stormreach. There were some. I don't know that he would have learned about the cultists folk, but that would be valuable knowledge to have before encountering them, because that was a blind side. He didn't know what he was getting into there.
That's fair. Laura asks, what was something that happened that you were surprised at the viewer reactions to?
I've gone first every time. I've got mine, but y'all. Do I need to give y'all time to think?
Go for it.
Well,
All
yeah,
right.
go for it.
Well, I think I have generally been a little bit surprised with the amount of hate's not the right word, but Esri's sort of taken it on the chin a lot from the viewers, and I don't think his decision making has been any poorer than the group average, especially in terms of outcomes. I think he's made mostly logical decisions, even if that logic is missing a few bits of relevant data and or experiences to guide it. So just in general, I've been a little surprised by that. Not anymore. Now I shoot for it, but at the beginning.
I think mine has been similar, but the complete opposite. Ooh, that was a big burp. Not me, the baby.
Prove it.
Right. The grace the viewers have had with Shade's decisions, like she's made a couple of like pretty heartless, I guess more than a couple. She's
Literal murder hobo is Shade.
Right. And there's been a lot of forgiveness. I'm grateful for that. But been a little bit surprised by that. She's also very different than other characters I've played in the past, and so I have been pleasantly surprised that people seem to be enjoying her as well.
I think that a lot of times, and this isn't a 100% thing, but oftentimes I think the four of us do a very good job of playing our characters like early 20-somethings, in that we play them dumb. And I think sometimes the viewers respond as though, like, I'm in my late 30s. Yes, Ari makes decisions I would have made, but I would not make now. And I know better. But Ari doesn't. And so I feel like sometimes our characters are held to the standard that we as people have. And that catches me off guard anytime. It's like, why would Ari reduce Dane's argument to its most obvious extreme? Because he's 20 and he wants to prove a point. Like, that's like he like. So yeah. Not to say that they're wrong, but
right.
Yeah.
I'm often surprised at. I'm never really sure which NPCs the viewers are gonna like latch onto with adoration. That catches me off guard. I really didn't expect Mrs. Brightdoom to be a particularly significant character. I didn't anticipate her being really well liked every time she shows up. I didn't, and likewise, I'm sometimes surprised when an NPC that I'm trying to present as taking a stance that I would think is, kind of the Dane thing. I don't think Dane's position is without logic, but I don't necessarily think Dane's right. And there's definitely a lot of viewers, I think, who leaned into, no, Dane's Dane's is the way to go. And so I'm sometimes caught off, and it's not an unpleasant surprise. I'm like, oh, cool. Even these characters that are not holding positions that I would agree with, or that I'm trying to present as this is the right choice, quote unquote, they're compelling and they're presenting their arguments in compelling ways. And that's great. I'm creating good characters. I think the love for Tommel is kind of a joke among some of our viewers, as much as anything else. I don't think anyone thinks Tommel's arguments are particularly compelling, but the fact that Tommel elicits sympathy from some of our some of our viewers is
I mean, some people
That's
out
great.
there,
I don't
Philip,
want him
will
to be
think that
a
Tommel
cookie
is
cutter.
right, but hopefully they don't watch our show.
hashtag
Well-
Tommel did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Related, Laura's taste in NPCs doesn't surprise me anymore. It just disappoints me.
Having played more D&D with Laura than you, it does not surprise me. Laura likes the edgy character.
I just want to amend my answer by saying that I don't think 100% of people in their early 20s are dumb. I was very dumb in my early 20s, so that's my reference point for when I play
He's right.
somebody in their early 20s. Yes. So, Philip, don't act like you were the smartest cookie in the batch either. You were smarter than me.
It was, but I benefited from comparison a lot.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
No, Philip was also dumb. It just wasn't usually in quite as public ways.
I like it.
I was married
Being a kid,
at that point, so
being dumb was less of an option.
yeah. Well, I mean, we weren't like, yeah. I mean, I guess I had a roommate, but it was like my wife, and so our dumb decisions were consequential to each other. We were stuck with each other. So there's definitely a temper on that.
Yeah. Darren has a good question here. To everyone, what decision made by your character has been the biggest surprise to you so far?
I have an answer for this one that is, it's one of those things where I had played out the conversation in my head like months before, because when you think about the game, sometimes you'll play through conversations. And
Sure.
when we got to the end of the Dane versus Thora episode, and Ari and Shade were kind of having the final ultimatum, like, what are we going to do? We're clearly on two different sides of this issue. And what Ari ended up saying in the episode, for those of you who need a refresher, is a couple years ago I made a promise to you, and I intend to stand by that. So if you go, I go. That's not what I thought Ari was going to say in that moment. It honestly just came out different, because what Ari was going to say was, I made you a promise a couple years ago that I'd never leave you, but I never said I'd stop you from leaving me. And for some reason, just halfway through the sentence, I decided to switch. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's different, but okay. So,
Cool.
This is maybe a sideways answer, because I don't know if it was exactly a surprise decision necessarily, but the conversation when Esri had died the first time, well, that whole scene was a surprise. I think the difficulty in just Esri justifying to himself not staying dead was a little bit. I mean, I guess I hadn't really thought through it to that point. But yeah, it was just like, when we're having this conversation, realizing he's got to have a pretty good argument for going back. Well, I guess it was, he needed a really good argument for being sent back by someone else. Had it been a situation like you've seen, like the Friends procuring a resurrection ritual or something, or yeah, I mean, I guess that probably would have been fairly easy for him. Just that, well, and that was actually part of it, right? Seeing that his friends actually wanted him to come back was also like surprisingly necessary. That was kind of surprising. Like, he needed that, because if that hadn't been strong, then he probably would have just been okay. Like, this is fine.
Yeah.
For Shade, it's a small moment, but I think one of the things that has surprised me so far, surprised me the most so far, was when she decided to dance at the Drow celebration. And I mean, for a couple of reasons. A, at the beginning of the campaign, if you would have asked me, well, is Shade the party dancing type? No, not at all. But the fact that she did it to make River comfortable because she wanted River to have these experiences surprised me, because I see her a lot as the little sister role in this group, in a lot of ways. And so for that scene, she kind of took on really the big sibling role to show River how it's done. I mean, poorly, but make her comfortable stepping out there. And I thought I liked that decision, but it's definitely not how I thought that was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can I piggyback off of that a little bit, because that reminds me, Ezri going off on his own at that moment was definitely not a plan. That was just flowing from what all was going on, and it was a pretty out of character. I don't think is right because I think it was the right thing, but it was a pretty extreme thing for him to do. Sure. Being as danger averse as he tends to be, so that, and I also want to say that was another pretty magnificently cinematic moment of like the juxtaposition of this party and this like journey alone back into danger, and then the button on that. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was all. That was great.
There have been a few major occasions where you guys have made me entirely improvise important scenes. And so usually that's where I'm not sure. I mean, with Ezri and Randus, the first time that Ezri died, I had in my notes if Ezri dies, maybe he meets Vol. Like that was just a note in my journal. So I had something kind of cooking in the back of my head for a while for that one. The second time, though, when Shade said, I'm going to go to Hirazi, I had just not at all considered that as an option. I had absolutely no idea. And so Hirazi flipping time back was surprising to me, and required a lot of thought after that session of what does that mean more broadly, because it can't mean nothing. Otherwise, we've just made time travel super trivial. So thinking through the implications of that afterwards was very interesting. So that was.
But luckily, there haven't been any consequences, so that's nice.
No, not at all that you've seen. Okay. Laura asks specifically for Eric, what would an Ari hosted Unity dinner look like? You've referenced Ari as doing that in the background. Yeah. What would that look like? And then for the others, what would you bring to a potluck Unity dinner?
So obviously now with Ari like being able to stick in people's minds, he could actually host one, because before he would just piggyback on other people's Unity dinners. But I think Ari would very much have the intention of, I will provide all of the drinks. Everyone else bring your favorite. I'll provide drinks and entree. Everyone bring your favorite side, kind of thing. And the entree would.
So all we get to drink is watered down wine.
Hey. No, it's tasty and it keeps you hydrated. You're never hungover on half and halves. That's the slogan. But
that's the slogan.
I hear the slogan was halfway decent.
Hey, it's kind of alcohol.
I grew up drinking beer in Oklahoma, so I mean I basically have drank half and halves for the rest of my life. So. But yeah, and it would.
I'm sorry, did you say the words? I grew up drinking beer.
Yep, you know. But yeah, like a large leg of like fantasy lamb, like that's larger and can feed 20 people.
Dire
and then a
lamb.
bunch of booze. Yeah, yeah. Leg of dire lamb. Yep. Or is it dire leg of lamb? Either way. So
That's got to be the super size at
dire size.
Eberron restaurants is dire sized.
It's good.
I mean, Esri would bring himself home and not go to the dinner. Clearly. No, I mean, mushrooms, right? I mean,
Yeah.
probably mushrooms of some sort, mushroom stew. Probably stop by Zot's on the way there, just for the reaction.
Just for a to-go bag. You
Shade
don't even
would
get
bring
food
some
from
kind
Zots.
of-
You just bring your food in a Zots bag to make Pog mad.
Right.
Yeah, I eat the dinner on the way there, and then bring it in.
Shay would bring probably some roasted rabbit.
Man, we haven't had rabbit in so long.
It's true.
Rabbit's so good.
There are ever so many in my neighborhood, so I'm just saying.
Not those kind.
No,
Those kinds have diseases.
There are so many.
Yeah, they're like rabbits there.
yes, our neighborhood is infested with rabbits.
It's a cute infestation.
Dogs less adorable. Laura asks, "Is there an NPC that we haven't seen in a bit that you miss?"
Selshadra.
Yeah.
So many.
Selshadra? Mm-hmm.
She's a fun one.
Esri misses Geralt. Feeling pretty bad about that one.
I miss Thora right now, where we're at in the current adventure. I wish we were with Thora doing anything else, but you know.
Have you noticed there's a trend in fantasy of like, I mean, of course you have. Like, why do the really powerful people send the less powerful people to deal with the stuff that the more powerful people could probably take care of? I mean,
The more powerful
so the
people
story
have
can
bigger
happen.
things to deal with.
Yeah, I guess, but it's just like,
That's why you
It's a-
attach the powerful person publicly to a school for children so that they can't
they can't leave.
just run off and solve all their own problems.
Right.
Built-in obligations.
What?
Yep.
I miss Forge.
Mm.
I wish Forge didn't leave and that they were still at the school.
Yeah.
I have a question about that, actually, that hasn't been asked, and I don't know if you can answer. Is there any meta reason for that, or is that purely a character call?
No, that was a character call. I miss the Rebel Warren gang. We haven't hung out with the Rebel
Yeah.
Warren gang.
Yeah.
I was
in
just
a while.
thinking, Ilya.
Yeah. So that one. And Kolos. Feel like we've
Kolos,
left
yeah.
Kolos hanging for a while. Which I guess is part of my answer to Laura's next question. Any story threads you wish had have been explored more? And I guess I would say Pog and Kolos is a story thread that just it's always good fun. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty low stakes, but it's always fun.
You already brought it up, but mine is the Harazi consequences of turning back time. It is killing me that there are obvious consequences and that now we're just in a different place.
I'm interested in resolving or at least furthering the drama with the White Raven. Just see, there's something's gonna have to give there eventually because they're really on each other's turf. It seems like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Are there any like story hooks that we just yeeted and never went back to that you threw out there? I'm trying to remember.
Other than the mission
Probably.
with Dane, I don't know.
Yeah, there is that. The Dane thing was definitely. I definitely thought you guys were going to go with Dane to the Warforged factory, to the Cannith facility thing. Uh, but other than that, I'm sure there are, because it's kind of every NPC that we've encountered potentially has stories and quests that that it could lead you down, and I've kind of followed the path that you guys have charted based on what NPCs you latch onto, what NPCs you find intriguing, and so there's that. In that sense, yes, but I'm not sure I can remember specific major story hook that you guys just decided to pass on.
Most of them have
One
come
that I
back
thought-
around, like
Well,
the
one
Red
that I
Ring.
thought was
Sure.
going to be a bigger deal in the immediate that ended up not, and it might come back around, was the aftermath of getting Cal. Like seeing Shade's face on a wanted poster in the city. Like, I was like, ah, crap, this is going to be bad. But then it wasn't that bad. So, go team. And that's the
Can I
last
say
thing
that I
anybody
felt
will
like
ever see.
What's the
Ezri's
thing to do about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Ezri's solution to that is one of my proudest like moments. I thought that was fun and clever. Like that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
What'd you
enjoyed that. as well.
do?
I set the Rubble Warren gang out on a
Yes.
bounty.
Man,
I quest.
Ezri
I'm
sending
sorry.
children to go do his dirty work is a theme, I'm realizing, not just a one-off with Kara. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like past trauma informs
Yep.
future bad decisions.
To those of you new to recording an actual play, which I don't really feel like any of you are anymore, but I suppose this is mostly Casey and RA, since Eric and I had done it before this. Does it come more naturally now, or did it from the start?
I didn't feel like it was. I think we answered this early on, but it didn't feel terribly unnatural to me. I think the only real difference is that we get interrupted more because we record the beginning and the end of the episode live. You know, we are taking breaks every episode in some form or fashion, whereas
Yeah.
in person you're not usually. I mean, you might have one significant break in a 3 or 4 hour session usually,
Right.
and this one is a lot choppier.
Sure.
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
as far as like getting used to it, I mean, this game was always that way. So I and I spend all day in front of a computer on calls. Anyway, that's my work. So this is a very natural situation for me.
Yeah.
I feel the opposite. I being in a position in which you have several people that can watch the decisions that you make and the facial expressions that that you have. I had a lot of anxiety initially, and I spoke on this early on, but meeting Eric and Colin really is what solidified my decision to do this. Ooh, got upset all of a sudden. And it's gotten much easier, but a lot of that has to do with the viewers. I mean, their investment, their kindness and grace towards, for me being new at this, I don't feel like I've been personally attacked, even though I drop Shade's intonation regularly, or, may make decisions that don't seem consistent with the character, and the viewers are always kind about it. Interesting. Why'd you do that? I would love to explain.
Yeah.
And then just obviously familiarity with Colin and Eric as well makes it just easier and easier. It's, it's just regular game night now. And so it's a lot of fun, but it definitely has been a transition for me to get there.
And then a question for me, how does it feel DMing for an audience now versus when I started? I'm not sure it's significantly different. Like Casey, I have been pleasantly surprised that I haven't constantly gotten, what's wrong with you? You did that rule wrong. Because I definitely have. Like, I definitely have done the rules wrong on more than one occasion. And shut up, Eric, with your face.
I was
haven't gotten
agreeing
grief
through empathy
for
of
that
also having
much.
DM for an audience, not saying that you get the rules wrong. I was being empathetic, Philip.
Right. I haven't gotten any real hate for that. I've had people ask me, like, why did you rule this way? But I don't mind that. That's not, you screwed up or something like that. There's been very little actually from the viewers, and I greatly appreciate that. I've had viewers in comments express that they don't think I ruled it right, but not attacking. So, yeah, that's been good, and that's probably helped me relax a little bit and be more comfortable playing fast and loose with the rules, which is my inclination. See the next couple episodes. And yeah, so I've probably gotten more comfortable just DMing the way that I DM and not worrying about whether I'm drawing any distinction for it. And that's good. It is hard being the DM, being the person designing the story, editing the videos, all of that, to not occasionally feel discouraged that there aren't more people who are interested in watching this. And that may have grown rather than go the other way as time goes on. But, again, like Casey said, it's a regular game night and play with my friends. So it's not really that. I would do this even if we weren't recording. So.
And do.
Yes.
In other
form. So there is that. I would say that's probably the main thing is you feel ownership over the result. You feel ownership over the audience reaction. And when the audience we have reacts beautifully, like the audience reaction that we get is great. But when the vast majority of YouTube goes, it is sometimes difficult not to take that personally as the person who takes ownership of it. Nathan, to everyone, what?
Right?
Because
Right back at you, man. Yeah.
Great question.
I'm with you. Good one. But more seriously, being 2 years into the campaign, is there anything about your character build you would do differently if you started over?
Wait, the actual answer to his question is an actual play show set in the Eberron campaign world.
That's fair. Yeah.
Fifth edition.
Anyone, would you build your
Blew
character
it.
differently?
There are times where I regret the 3 levels of sorcerer and wish I was just straight warlock. But then I get to quicken one of my spells and do like Eldritch Blast as a bonus action, and I feel less bad. But that's the only thing that I occasionally think it'd be really neat to be, because I'll look at like where I would be if I was a 9th level or a 10th level warlock and be like, oh, I want those things. But yeah, so that's the only place that I waffle. Everything else I'm fine with.
Sure.
I don't think I would. I'm trying to think of any bit that I would change, and I mean I've played the character to the build, I think, as much as I can.
You change that build, and a lot of the narrative of Esri changes. Like unless you switch to like a necromancer wizard or something like that, or a death cleric or something like crazy like that. yeah, it's a very different character in a different build, I think, with Ezri.
I mean, I think some of his character has not gone where I intended it to, and we've talked about that on this before. I intended him to be a lot more like stoner vibe early on, and things got intense too quickly to really embed that in my head. So, but yeah, not in terms of mechanics.
Casey?
I don't think so.
I'd like to. Would you because we talked about various different classes when we were working on her, and
So
some
many.
that would be some that were a lot more combat focused than she ended up being. I'm curious. I mean, you said no, but I'm curious if that has ever crossed your mind.
It hasn't. I haven't thought back. I wish I would have done something differently. But a lot of that is, I think, I made the choices I did and then went with it. Like that shaped who she was, rather than limited who I saw that she would be. And so I've been happy with it. There's a couple of spells that I have taken recently that I will probably switch out. But other than that, her base build, I'm pretty happy with it. And like I said, it shaped a lot of who she has become.
Sure. Yeah. And how different do you think your characters would be if they didn't have aberrant marks?
Fundamentally,
Yeah, I saw this one.
Just
Right.
no
All
Blackwheel program.
100%.
Happy is the correct answer. So
See, I don't know. I take issue with that because the fundamental problem of Ari's life is the fact of a house member letting his
true.
parents die, and that would still have happened. That was not a
Yeah.
consequence of the mark.
yeah,
So
and the Forgotten Prince
maybe
stuff
just
happened
more
regardless
lonely.
of the mark. So yeah,
that's true. So just
So
less
I guess-
able to cope.
yeah. So, drunker was how Ari would be fundamentally different without his mark.
I mean, there's no like reverse engineering that with Ezri at all.
Yeah.
Other than like he's not playing an adventure. Probably. It's just a totally different person entirely.
I would say of the party, Ezri's identity is probably the most tied up in his mark, especially since the entanglement with Vol came up. I think it is very hard to imagine who Ezri is without the mark, because probably just a Sharn street urchin, right? I mean,
because he would still be with his enclave.
Buy that.
No, he'd probably be just a living at the commune and doing his Kalatar thing.
thoroughly indoctrinated into the path of light.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. Hey, you're better off.
We're so much better for you.
I mean, better than
Be
a
well
cult,
fed
like,
and comfortable and happy and
Right.
just trying to be a good person in a cult, but still.
Shade would have a lot less trauma. She would still have the whole, thrown from everything she knew through time and space.
Yeah, but just once, right?
Right, but then it would just be that.
One and
She didn't even
Everything-
remember that.
Right. Everything after that, the negative things after that were from her mark, but yeah, so she...
It might have made resolving that a little bit easier because there's so many like confusing complications with the mark because you don't know
Right.
like is this weird thing happening because of the mark, Or is it because
Yeah.
I'm actually an ancient fae creature? You know,
Yeah.
Very true.
it would just be the one weird thing that was happening.
Emily had asked a question for Colin. We'll pick that up on our next episode. And then Mia says, for everyone, is there any character relationship that has occurred that you weren't expecting? Like, yeah.
I mean, this is a retread. I definitely didn't expect Ezra, like the friction between Ezri and the rest of the group early on. Every NPC relationship has been unexpected, really, but the nature of things. I didn't
Obviously, Mrs.
expect.
Brightman again. I mentioned that.
I didn't expect Pog's relationship to last. Yeah.
We'll see. Did that thing again.
Yep, he did the thing again. He did
for
the thing
me,
he said he
other than
wasn't going to do again.
This is Bright Doom. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but like she's got to
aside from
accept him for who he is if she's going to stay with him. Because I mean that's his.
I mean,
life,
she could accept
you
him
know?
for who he is. She doesn't have to date who he is. Like, you can accept people for who they are and not be able
Right.
to be in a relationship.
No, I said if they want to be together.
I'm just saying, send a note, man. There are ways to do this.
Those
Other
Pog,
than Mrs. Bright Doom,
famously fan of notes.
Yeah.
That's true. He's practicing.
I would agree. There have been a lot of NPC relationships that have surprised me because the players react to the NPCs sometimes in very different ways. Some of them, I knew the players were going to feel for any children that I put in their path. I knew that the players would enjoy those relationships and dive into those relationships. I absolutely knew they were going to rescue River. That was not even in doubt. In fact, if they hadn't, it would have thrown off everything I was trying to do.
Could you imagine?
Frankly. The relationship with Mrs. Bright Doom, Hog's relationship with Kolos, because that came out of the chaos created by Shade and Pog going off on their own, and
All good things.
I didn't necessarily expect the individual players to react to Dane, the characters, I mean, not players, the individual characters to react to Dane the way that they have. If I had guessed, I would have guessed Ari, and maybe early on Ari would be, but if I had had guessed, I would have guessed on Ari siding with Dane more than he does. I would have absolutely bet on Ezri siding with Dane. And again, I think early Ezri probably would have. I think if Ezri had met Dane instead of Thora, early Ezri, I think, would have been more about, nope, it's just us with the marks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been very different.
He still would have disagreed with like going and attacking. But yes, he would have seen it maybe more as a responsibility or a necessity that, okay, well,
Yeah.
Dane is saying to do it, we probably should.
Right. Those are the ones for me.
The Kolos one is really funny because I guess I can't speak for everyone, but my impression was when that was introduced, when that started happening, I thought everyone was feeling, oh, Pog and Kolos are going to be friends. This is, he found his guy, and like it turned so antagonistic so quickly.
Yeah, and kind of accidentally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That has been an interesting relationship, and I'm interested to see whether that goes beyond where it is.
For me, it would absolutely be the friction and tension between Ari and Pog was not something that I saw coming. Pog is to blame for all of it, but I will forgive him one day. But and then kind of the inverse, just because I think Ari and Shade's like closeness and that dynamic was not something that I was expecting when the characters were initially pitched. And and now they're both fey creatures and stuff like that. So there's like another connection that wasn't even present when the characters were initially introduced. So I think that those have been the two interesting party dynamics that, not that I was expecting Ari and Ezri to like go at it for the first 20 episodes, but so
Yeah, Ezra's relationship with Thora, actually, it surprising because all the NPC relationships are surprising because they evolve, and I only control one of them. But certainly, I don't know that I would have guessed it was going to that place, to a place of trust.
Yeah.
I think that within the party, same as Eric, I think the closeness that has evolved between Ari and Shade is not something that I had anticipated. And I think that's really just a sweet relationship that's been growing. And then with NPCs, I think I'm a little surprised at how quickly the Moon Spears accepted Shade and Shade accepted them. I love that relationship. I think the Moon Spears are the coolest. But I was pleasantly surprised by how quickly Shade was like, done. My people. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're running up on our time, so I want to do this last one real quick. Mia also inquires, are you surprised by any particular plot turns?
Constantly.
So many.
We have a plot?
I'm like, okay, so things that went entirely other than I anticipated them. The street fight, there's some really bad rolls and some really crazy things that occurred as a result of bad rolls that totally changed a pretty lighthearted action scene into a really intense one.
Wait, sorry, street fight?
After the map heist.
Ari murdered a guy.
Both times that Ezri has died, it has shifted the plot in ways that I wasn't expecting or wasn't ready for.
Our present situation,
lots of things
right now. So
this one.
Yes,
this went very far very quickly. The current plot has definitely taken us far afield.
But the absolute biggest one for me is Pog showing Donabella his mark.
Oh yeah,
that
was a big
3 episodes in. Pog pulls off his bandana and is like, no, we're like you too. And I'm just like,
what?
Okay, well, all right then.
The fight at the archive, not the archive.
Forget the name. The Wayfinders Guild.
Yes, the Wayfinders.
The Nest.
The Wayfinder Foundation.
Is that what's
the
called?
Nest? There it is.
Word association will get us there.
That was definitely a surprise in many ways. Like it kept getting surprising. Like, we're being attacked. We're really being attacked. This is important to our story. This spell does that.
Yeah.
That fight to me,
Casey,
the
any
pop culture equivalent to that fight is the chicken fights from Family Guy, where it just keeps getting more absurd and bigger, and you eventually start asking, why are they still fighting? Like, what's happening? And then so
Yep.
Anyway.
I don't. Excuse me. I don't have any off the top of my head. I'm not sure that I generally feel I know where we're going. So yes, the scene at the Nest escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did.
And then we genuinely are not trying to just plug the next couple of episodes, but it really has been
It's cray.
exciting chaos.
Cool. Well,
Eric,
that is all.
you okay?
Yeah. No, just thinking about the next episode we have to record.
He's thinking ahead. Well, that is all of our questions for today. Thank you all so much for everyone who watches, everyone who has enjoyed these past 100 episodes, and we very much appreciate your submitting questions, your watching, your likes, your just hanging out. New episodes of Khyber Shards drop every Monday. New Khyber Shards answers every Friday. And until next time, thanks for rolling with us.
100 more.